Hi, and welcome back to Dummy Variables and this beginner's course for Python. I'm Jacob, this is my software developer friend Nick, and today we're gonna talk about while loops.
Yeah, that's right. So this is the first time that we're going to be running code that repeats itself. So we're going to be running with one command, we're going to be doing many things. So that's very exciting. Let's jump in. I've built a little slide to explain what's going on. Exactly. So this is our while loop. So our code's going to be coming in from the top, and it's going to hit this condition. And what's going to happen is, if that's true, it's going to go into the set of statements that we've got on the right there, that T represents. When it's done with those statements, it's going to go back to the start and start all over again. And so if that condition is true, it's going to do the statements again. But if it's false, then it's going to leave the while loop and return to the rest of the code. So maybe you've noticed here, it's possible that this is going to go on forever. If we just write a condition that's true, that's never going to end. And that's possible. You can write a program that's just not going to end. It's not great for your computer, maybe, if you're just doing loads of calculations. But it's also kind of how a lot of programs just function. So long as the, maybe you've got your browser open, so long as the browser is still ticking over, maybe somewhere in there is this kind of logic. Just keep doing stuff again and again until the user tells you to get out of it.
And for us, it's the same. While you are talking, I'm listening and doing nothing. And as soon as you stop talking, I come into action, basically.
Sure, why not? Let's get in and show an example. Let's get into the code.
Right.
So the syntax is obviously the word while. You've seen that before. So one thing we can do is we can just write the word true. True is a condition that's always true. And this is going to be our infinite loop, right? So we need a colon, the double dots, exactly. Enter that, and we can write what we want. We can maybe write a print statement. What did you like to print? All right, give it a go, see what happens.
Okay, wish us luck. Oh.
All right, excellent. So,
how do we get out?
Yeah, so if you click the terminal, you should be able to press Control-C.
Oof, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
so you see that we just got an error, keyboard interrupt error. So this Control-C, when you in a Python terminal, that's going to send a keyboard interrupt error to the program, and that's a great way of getting out of a program that's still running, particularly ones that you've accidentally written to be never-ending.
Right. Okay.
Excellent. So how about we, instead of just evaluating true every time, we can evaluate something more meaningful. So let's set up a variable, and maybe we'll have a number. Let's call it x or something like that, and just set it to 0 or 1 or any sort of number.
Mm-hmm.
And we can check, so long as that's still small, so long as it's below a certain number, we'll keep doing something. But once it gets too big, we want to stop and get out of it. So we'll say, while x is less than, pick a number.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Let's do something like print out x is still small.
All right.
So what's going to happen with this while loop, Jacob?
Well, because x is 0 all the time, the statement x is smaller than 10 is always true. So we're gonna enter another infinite loop, basically.
Excellent, well done. So we don't need to run it. You've already guessed it. So how about if every single loop we increase the value of x by 1?
Let's do that.
Let's see how to do that. I'm pretty sure you know how to do that.
I think I know how to, because we want x to be we want to assign a new value to x per round. Yeah. The loop goes around, basically. And you said we want to increase it stepwise, so I'm just gonna add the number 1 once every while loop, basically.
Exactly. So how many times are you going to see x is still small?
That's a good question. I mean, I could count it through right now, basically. So 0 is one loop, and we're gonna add 10. No, we're gonna add 9, 9 times the one. Okay, I can speak. Okay,
All right,
start over.
let's drop it down from 10. Let's drop it down from 10. How about that? Let's just go to 2.
Okay.
How many times is this going to run?
This is gonna run 2 times. Because once we hit 2, it's not smaller than 2 anymore. So we have like one round x is 0, one round x is 1, and that's 2.
Excellent. And then x will be 2. We'll go back to the condition. 2 is not smaller than 2. That's false. And so we'll jump out. Perfect. So this will... Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
So if we change it back to 10, what do you think the answer might be now?
Well, it was... well, in that case, it's just 10. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. So that's the answer. We can run that and have a look.
Okay. I'm going to say this is 10 times the line.
So what is the value of x down here?
The value of x down there should be 10 because x equals x plus 1 is still run at the level of x equals 9 because when x equals 9 it's still smaller than 10. So one last time there will be 1 added to it, so it will stop at 10.
Yeah, exactly. So one way of thinking about it, it'll be the first value that that turned out to be false. So that is exactly when it's 10. So you can give it a run and look just to make sure we're...
Okay.
So we've got 10. Exactly. So the very first time, as soon as x is forcing this to be false, then we're going to jump out.
Got it.
Sounds good. So there's another way of exiting while, and that's with a statement called break. Have you heard about break, Jacob?
Break. I've heard of it, yeah. Tell me more about it. Refresh me.
So what it does is it just breaks out of the loop. So as soon as you hit something that says break, you leave that loop. So if you just were to write at the bottom of this break, then we're just going to run this line, check the condition, and if it's true, we'll enter this and run these lines. And as soon as we get to this, we're done. We're out of the loop and we're gone. So this is almost meaningless. All it does is check that we can go in at all. So the reason we have it at all is if you want to check conditions in the middle of a while loop. So what you can do is something like this. You could say if x is less than 10 in here, and then break. So what we could do is replace this with while true. So now this looks kind of different, but it's very similar, but it is a little bit different. So what's happening here is, maybe you can talk us through, Jacob. So the first thing that happened.
While true is basically an infinite loop. So when we get into it, it's gonna print x is still small the first time anyways. And then we enter an if loop, and here it evaluates whether x is still smaller than 10. And because x is smaller than 10, we immediately hit the break and the loop ends. This means that nothing gets added to x. Like the last line is completely meaningless right now.
So let's print it out and see what run the program and see what happens. So great job, well done. So if we were to swap this round the other way, then we would now have something much more similar to what we were doing before.
Ah, okay. It should break as soon as it's above 10. Let's see.
Exactly. So,
Well, to be exact, we should have put 9 in here to replicate what we've done.
Yeah, that's true. So this is let's try not to get too confused. That's true. So we're testing whether x greater than 10, and so the first time that it is when it gets to 11.
Right.
So we get one loop where this is printed, but this line is not run because we're breaking in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So that's while loops. That's the basics of them, at least. Obviously, you can do a lot with these. Anything unclear? Any more questions? You feel like you've learned it?
I think I learned it pretty well. I'm excited to see how I can use that in like more complex code in the future.
Sure thing. Well, join in next time.
See ya.
All right, I got a plan.
Okay, tell me.
We keep the screen open. We keep recording until we've got 7 episodes worth of hilarious moments.
Okay.
I think we've already got 2 or 3, maybe. I'm not sure.